Hello, I'm Krista Fancher of the Innovation Diploma program at the Mount Vernon School, and I'm going to share with you some of the tenets of the program as a signature pathway. So, Innovation Diploma is a 4-year program, and it is student-led, not from the beginning. That means in ninth grade, students begin learning how to do this work, and they continue through 11th and 12th grade when they start design briefs. Design briefs are completely student-led, but I'll tell you a little bit more about how we get there. People always ask us what type of student is best in ID, and it's not a simple question to answer because we have students who are very creative and artistic. We have students who are lean towards engineering. We have students who are very STEM, math and science. We have students who are poets and actors and dancers. We do everything collaboratively, so it takes a diverse group to make a good project. The big difference between Innovation Diploma and the other pathways is all the work we do is collaborative. And if you love to work in a group project and solve really complex, ambiguous problems for a company or a nonprofit, Innovation Diploma might be for you. A couple of values we have. I already talked about collaboration. We just value collaboration over individual achievement. We like to say that life is a group project, and we truly believe that. These kids come away with skills that most adults wish they had at this age. We believe in multidisciplinary learning over specialization. We want our kids to get their hands into all different types of subjects, but also we like to blend the subjects. For example, right now our freshmen are doing a combination chemistry lesson with their maker class, and they're actually building a periodic table, and they're using all the tools in Maker, and each team has a different box that they're putting together, and at the end, the whole class has this periodic table display, and that is something else that we do in ideas. Our work goes outside into the world. It's always outward facing, and there's always an outlet for students to put their learning into action rather than just memorizing something for a test and spitting it back and then forgetting it. We love for our kids to learn by doing. We encourage trial and error over risk avoidance. There is room for failure, and they quickly learn that failure is not a bad word. It's a path to progress. We believe in creating over consuming. Everything we do, our kids are making and trying to actually build that better world. We also believe in play, passion, and purpose over extrinsic motivation. That speaks a little bit to the way we like to de-emphasize grades. Our students are still graded, and the curriculum is rigorous, but it's rigorous in a different way than traditional high school. Rather than asking for an A+ or an advanced grade, we would rather our students come up and say, "I want to get better at this skill. Can you help me?" We also believe that school should be fun and satisfying, and a lot of our seniors, by the time they're that old, they realize that hard work is extremely satisfying. So you're probably curious how these classes will fit into your upper school experience and how it works. Let's look at it. So right now, ID makes up about 30% of the upper school. We have cohorts that range from 29 to 50. And these are the courses that everyone takes in ninth and 10th grade. And then the flexible courses on the right can be taken at any time. In ID, freshman year and sophomore year, we have all of students' classes except for math, health, and world language. In our humanities class, it's a little bit different. Our kids aren't going to memorize a lot of dates. There aren't any multiple choice tests. There is a lot of speaking and telling what you know, the picture in the right. That's a group that has researched world conflict. They have obtained an interview from someone on the ground that is somehow related with the conflict, and they are sitting in front of a microphone and telling what they know in a really intelligent way to show what they know. And I would rather have a student be able to speak extemporaneously about their knowledge and publish it onto this podcast rather than memorize something for a written test or a worksheet. You can hear this podcast if you ask your smart speaker for the Getting Into Good Trouble podcast, and you'll get to hear our students. This is work is carried on for about 5 seasons, and I think we might move it to YouTube soon. On the left, you'll see this is a classic Harkness class discussion. A lot of our work is discussion based. We want our students to be really confident speakers and to research what they know and to speak about what they know. ID science has a really active component. We believe that science is a verb and it's learned by doing and not by just reading a book about experiments. You go out and do it. One of everyone's favorite classes is the chemistry class of molecular gastronomy, in which students will get to actually make a dinner for the senior class. And that sounds simple, but is actually an 8-week process of them conducting interviews, figuring out kids' food allergies, figuring out what they like. That is in another class, and then they're going to put that together with their work in chemistry, where they actually learn how food interacts and how cooking changes the makeup of the food. Connections class are among the favorite in ID. Our kids have a lot of laps in graphic arts, graphic design in general. One of the things we do in 11th and 12th grade is we present in boardrooms across Atlanta and across the country via Zoom. And our students learn to make really professional looking slide decks. They learn how to present them. Their work is clean. And that doesn't mean that every student has to have graphic design chops. We have a wonderful teacher who teaches them to make this work, and they are consistently complimented on the work that they turn out. This page, I won't go through everything, but I'd like to highlight the third part there, the QFT. Every project we do in ID starts with a QFT, and that stands for Question Formulation Technique. The magic of the QFT is the students get a topic or whatever the ambiguous problem is that they're going to wrestle with, and it's a genuine problem. We don't just make something up, or it's not like a case study. It's something that a company is really wrestling with in real time, and they research just enough about it to get a feel for either the company, the segment of whatever they're working in. Then the group gets together and they fill a page with every question they can spit out in about 7 minutes. And so it usually is about 40 questions. And then they go through this process of labeling them as open and closed questions. And they finally, at the end of the process, they find 3 questions that they must know now. And that is what launches their discovery work. And this may sound basic, but the magic of this is I could tell them what questions to research. But when they ask the questions, that's when the work goes from being the teachers to truly being their work. Each group will have a different set of questions, and it'll be the questions that mean the most to them. It's one of my favorite things about ID. So in the first class of 9th grade, we have a class called Design for Good that really sets up kids for success in ID. It talks about the tenets of ID. We really get the culture across. ID students are biased toward action. The worst thing you could do in an assignment is nothing because you weren't sure what to do. The best thing to do is do what you think is right and do it to the nth degree. So in this collaborative work, everybody dives in. And as I said before, making mistakes is all right. In concert with that class, we also have another class called Mad Foundations, and that's maker art and design. And that gets them started on this path of thinking that everything they do has to be presentation worthy, and it starts giving them laps and doing that work. So they build a comfort zone with standing up in kind of uncomfortable situations and being able to speak anyway. There's a real confidence builder there. So our sophomore cohort this year is called the Jorgen cohort. One of the classes they start off with is called Language Proof and Logic. In Language Proof and Logic, students are learning how to find reliable sources. They're learning the difference in facts, logical fallacies. They're learning about how to dig deep. They learn how to read a law brief. And that sets them up for success with a lot of the humanities classes that follow in 10th grade. In science, they are in biology now, and they are working in biomimicry and biomedical engineering are their science classes in 10th grade. That's something we do a little bit differently than non-ID classes. We do chemistry in 9th, biology in 10th. We found that having a foundation in chemistry works well with a lot of things we do across other curricula. And then in 11th and 12th grade, the schedule changes radically. I showed you how their classes are in 9th and 10th grade are almost all ID. In 11th and 12th grade, they only have one ID class a day, and it is their design brief. That frees up their schedule. They can take as many AP classes as they feel like they want to, or different advanced classes if they like to take art or dance or anything like that. Their schedule is free to allow that. Design briefs are when the students, a group of, let's say, 6 to 12, partner with a company. The company will have a pretty ambiguous, complex problem for them to dig into. And by this time, in 11th grade, they have a set of processes and tools that they know to trust. And they work through the human-centered design thinking process. And they start with figuring out, doing their basic discovery work. Then they define the problem together, and they work together to start making prototypes during the design phase. And they'll keep making this. They have learned to give and get actionable feedback. Our students actually get upset with us if we don't give them really tough feedback. They want some feedback that they can use. And so then finally they're ready to launch their solution. And when they do that, our students often find themselves in some really intimidating boardrooms. I think the Home Depot boardroom, the Google boardroom in downtown Atlanta, Chick-fil-A at the Hatch, they find themselves in these really intimidating situations. They walk in feeling prepared but nervous, then they knock it out of the park and they leave feeling like they can do anything. It's one of my favorite parts of the job. This was a design brief we had this fall at Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A gave them the task. They said the way that the dining room experience has evolved, there is a bottleneck at the food pickup area because you have Uber Eats drivers, you have at-home ordering delivery services coming to pick up food. You have people who have ordered on the app. I believe the kids said there are 9 ways to get an order at Chick-fil-A. And then there's the people who want to have a peaceful dining experience. And all this was kind of bleeding into each other and making the dining experience a little bit different than it was a few years ago. So this group's task was to figure out a way to make all of that run smoothly so that every stakeholder has a really positive experience. So they worked on this, they went to the Hatch, they got to have some great experiences, and then you can see on the right, they marched in pretty confidently. They had their model of the dining room there, and they gave a fantastic presentation. Inner Explorer is an example of a smaller company that wants to bring mindfulness education to students in K through 12. And so this group worked locally, but also remotely with a lot of the company was based in Florida. And so that presents its own kind of challenge, which they learned to navigate beautifully. We had a team at Google this fall. Google asked them to figure out use cases across 5 different sectors for using Gemini. And our students loved doing this work, and they were able to really drill down. And the Google team was impressed, and one of them asked me afterwards how students this age were able to do this type of presentation, and I told them it's because they literally start in ninth grade doing this type of work. We had a brief with UPS where they were working on the customer experience of the package damage report and how a customer goes through that. And they got to go to UPS headquarters, which is actually right down the street, and they were able to present there. Butcher Box is a smaller design brief that we had. It's a company that has subscription meat service. And so they were able to create this pop-up experience for the company to give out samples and show their product in different settings. These are a few of the companies we've worked with just over the last few years. Innovation Diploma is currently in its 11th year. So these are only some of the more recent companies that we work with, but you'll see big companies, brand names, nonprofits. Each of these brings something really different. And so the learning experience for each brief is incredibly different. It's why it's so fun to teach a design brief, because I learn right along with the students. It's an extremely satisfying way to teach and learn. Every year, about this time, it is currently December, Mod 2, our students break away from the traditional design brief and they do something called the future of. These pictures are from the 2023 future of, in which students chose the topic of the future of air transportation. The ID leadership team picks what the future of topic is. This year in 2024, the topic is the future of entertainment. And as I record this, students are transforming 4 of the learning studios into spaces to bring people in for an interactive experience like the one you see in the pictures from last year. And when I tell you students pour everything into this work, we were here all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and students asked if they could stay late last night. And of course, if they want to come and stay and work, we're going to try to make that happen for them. They don't do this for a grade. They do this because they want it to be special. And by this time, like I said, they've learned that hard work can be really satisfying. And this is one of those nights every year when you can just see that hard work paying off. So we hope that you'll attend a Future of event for 2024. The event is Tuesday, December 17th, 5:30 to 8 p.m. We'd love to see you there. Parents often ask about how does this play in college? What do colleges think of this program? And I can tell you that when our students apply to college, they have a really unique story to tell. By that time, they've worked with from anywhere from 12 to 20 organizations, nonprofits, government agencies, and they've solved all kinds of complex problems. And they usually have some stories to tell about some really amazing work that they've done at this age. A lot of times students in ID know what they want to pursue in college, which is really pretty rare. Sometimes they figured out what they don't want to do. Maybe they thought they wanted to go into a field, but then they did some work with a company and they were like, oh, that's not exactly what I thought it was. That's actually a gift for our students to kind of have that breadth of experience. At the end of their 4 years, each student works on their own innovation portfolio. So this is a student who's about to graduate, and he chose the experiences in ID that meant the most to him. And that's what you see on the left. That's actually on the front of the page. And this is an attachment to their transcript. So every college will get to see this and see what they did and what it meant to them. And you can see sometimes he was a product lead or a process lead in a group, but some of the ones he picked, he was just on the design team or a web design component to the work. but each one of these briefs gave him something different that he was able to highlight for schools. The second page that starts with a blue header is the same for everyone. It's where in case a college doesn't know what ID is, it explains exactly what it is. In that first line, you can see it's a highly selective 4-year program for some of our most motivated, responsible, and creative applicants. This is a really nice value add for students who know what they want to pursue in college, and they can highlight how they know that. Our students generally get into the schools they want to go to, and they're able to study what they want to study. This is one of our favorite quotes: "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, you have to build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." And honestly, we believe we've done that here. I think everyone agrees that high school needs to be different. And about 11 years ago, Mount Vernon started this program to very small, 15 students in the beginning, and students who wanted to take a chance and do high school different. We've hit on something that really resonates with students, and we wind up with these extremely motivated kids.